Welcome back to Lucore Automotive Services. Today I'm going to wrap up this S10 with the Funkhauser rear end roll bar setup. And I'm going to put some 1-inch taller front ball joints in it for better camber gain. And I'm going to lop a coil off the springs. So, see how I do it. Stick around. We're going to cram those in those holes. Slight interference fit. Should be enough to go in. Probably just using the ball joint press. And then we will ream the holes. Make sure they are correct. And this will be done. It's done. Sliders are in. Let's be right back. Powder guys, coat guys, we're not messing around, man. That back. That's what I get for not having my 9/16 handy. Well. Teach me to use the wrong socket. It worked, but it didn't work great. Full of wrong sockets this morning. There you have it. Funkhauser Racing rear anti-roll bar with relief sliders. Pretty cool setup. Very happy with it. Pretty straightforward installation. Gotta call this fella up and see what he wants to do about rear shocks. In the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and pull the front wheels off, replace the upper ball joints, cut the coils because we need a altitude adjustment in the front. Shocks limiting our travel. Oh, that's awkward. Okay. That one's tight.
Stand.
All sorts of treasures in there.
Coil's not installed correctly. It's not in the pocket where it needs to be. And they're both indexed a little weird, but we'll fix that with the spring compressor. So next step is to remove the spring, which I'll probably need to remove my sway bar link. Well, as it turns out, this truck has 4227 001s in it, which comes back as a Beltec 1-inch drop spring. And instead of cutting those up, since we can identify them, you can probably resell those. These don't have any numbers on them. They look to be a stock factory replacement spring, which would be for the V6. And we're going to give that a shot and see what kind of action we get out of those. But I'm going to lop one or maybe 2 coils off of it. We'll start with 1 full coil and probably a half, just right off the rip, and then go from there. I would say still too high. Actually, it looks higher on this side, or on the other side than this side. So I'm about 1.5 inches lower in the front than the rear. I want to take it down a little more. This side's actually a full inch higher on this side because I have the coil spring in a little too far rotated clockwise, which means it's out of its pocket. So this side has more spring pressure on it. So I'm going to pull them back out. I'm going to lop another coil off
And we'll see where we end up. I think that'll be hopefully right where we want to be. Let's cut it. Should have sprung on me. So I check it out and go on the full extra coil, so I'm at a coil and a half cut off right now, which actually makes the spring easy to put into the pocket and get it set correctly. The lower control arms have 2 holes drilled in them in the inboard point of where the coil spring sits, and that's the pocket where the end of the coil is supposed to go. As you saw previously, I had it past that, which lifted that side of the truck like an inch more than this side. So when you get them in, you want those to be even, and when you cut the spring, you want to cut the same amount off of each spring. And then you fit it until you get your ride height where you want it. This thing should probably be where I want it to be, and I have full spring pressure all the way through the range at full extension. So we're probably going to stick with 1.5 and go from there. Now I'm just installing everything hand tight so that I can check my ride heights, and then once I'm happy with the ride height, I will lock everything down, put cotter pins in, lubricate my caliper slides, and all that silly stuff. So let's throw the wheels back on here and see if we're happy after we throw the caliper around. Nice catch. Sacrificing my body for people's cars. Tighten those brake pads up so they don't rattle. Now let's throw the wheels on. If I'm happy with the ride height, I'm going to let it sit for lunch. And then we'll get back after it. Might need to go to some littles on this one. Alright, well, I like the stance where I'm at. I'm glad I only went 1.5 coils off these factory ride height springs. It should give me enough compression to keep things where I want it. And it gives me that nice California rake that I wanted to see. This will allow me more up travel, keeping the tires on the ground. We are going to run over and get a bump steer kit for this, which will greatly improve straight line handling and make the alignment hold itself much better. So that's going to be next. I am going to run this thing, I don't know, I'm going to put it back up on the lift after lunch and reassemble the front end for the final time. I'm happy with my ride height. So that's how you get it. You take it apart and try it again. It had the 1-inch what were they, Ride Tech, I think, coils in it, which were pretty good. And I decided not to cut those because that's a $166 pair of springs. And we had these other ones and figured we'd just cut them down and make them work. So next is shocks and reassembly. Well, I'm throwing the shocks in this thing. I had to move it over the alignment rack the other day, and I'm getting back at it. I did pick up some lower shock mount installation hardware. I keep these in stock for cars like this that show up with loose nuts on the backside, and a handful of extra loose nuts in there from the ones they dropped and never pulled out, because those end up on the track and then they get shot out from tires like bullets. So I don't like leaving anything loose, any loose hardware or anything under there. So I've got J-clips and bolts to install my shocks with. Somehow moving this stuff around, I lost one of my bushings for my sway bar link. Now this is a straight line drag car. We don't really need the sway bar links, but it is also a street vehicle, so we're going to keep the front anti-roll bar up there. Heck, you can't even see what I'm doing. Let's bring you over here. That's probably better. There we go. Get in your hole. There you go. Now you're in your hole. Right at me. Well, it wasn't tight at all. Come on, my dummy. Directions say to start with a medium shim. Start with that guy. That's some nice small adjustments so we can really dial this one in. I usually just throw an extra shim on there so I don't have to destroy my nylock by taking it on and off a few times. Since I've got a bucket of these shims now, makes it easier. So I'll try not to scratch these up, but they normally end up getting scratched like the first time you walk by them. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. That's what I get for not putting my tool away. I don't know where I put it. I found it. It was right where I left it. They recommend torquing that to 45 foot-pounds.
grab a torque wrench and do that real quick. Keep an eye on this to see if we're going too low. May need to notch the frame right here and right here for the lower control arms to occupy that space. You never know what you're going to run into when you start modifying ride height. You make one change and then everything else needs to change. You gotta keep an eye on it all. I'm not square. I got to square up my steering. Out there. Let me hang the wheels back on it and we will do our initial setup and then we will start over again. Let's tighten up those wheel bearings a little bit. Well, not horrible. Need some love. Let's make some baseline adjustments and then fix it up. Ooh, we are dead on ride height. Pretty good lift for an S10. Just gonna say that. So that's 5.5 inches of lift. Wow. 6.5 inches of lift, that's not bad. We are towing in 3 degrees plus. Let's throw some more shim into that. adjustment in that one. So we need to bring that one in more. So we'll bring it in like 3 more turns. What do we do on lift? I think we got worse. We did get worse, so we need to take shim out of it. There you go, I gotta take it loose anyway. Closer, towing in 1.5 degrees. So this one's gonna be no shade. And lift off. How high is lift off? Well over 7 inches. I think he'll be happy with that. That's all we're gonna get. We tow in less than 2 degrees on lift. That's pretty good.
Need to do a big dog.
We'd need to do straight bolt throughs to get a little better tow in on lift, but other than that, it's
common.
Well, and this is a street truck. He's not pushing 1,000 horsepower, so I mean it's under 2 degrees of tow in on lift, so I'm fine with that. I mean that's as good of a start as any. I mean, this truck's in the beginning stages of life, so or life as a street truck.
Definitely drivable.
Yeah, I think so. The springs, we may have to go to a trick spring. It'll kind of depend on if I cut too much spring rate out to get the ride height correct, and so if it bottoms while we're driving it down the road, that'll be the determining factor there. It may need a little more spring in the front to keep it off the stop. But it's got 7+ inches of lift, so you can slap a 200 shot of nitrous on it and have at it.
Good little truck.
It's a well-built rig, man. I guess the fella bought it, and then he's having us dial it in a little more, make some improvements.
Good little truck.
So I've got my bump steer figured out. I got to balance out my caster. My camber is actually just fine. It's dead even within 1/10. So that'll pretty much be it for this. So I'll play with caster, get it locked in, reset my toe, lock it down, and then Matt told me to set up the anti-roll bar neutral. So I'm just going to set it up neutral, and then the cowl tracks will be one turn in. Actually, for street, it's probably no turns in. But because then it rides smoother. So
yeah, don't ruin this thing. Don't make it ride like a kind of stove.
Don't make it ride like a stove wagon.
No, that's a nice truck. That's a real.
It's a gorgeous truck. There's a Blazer up on Marketplace right now.
Shut up.
There was a Blazer. It's an '87.
This is why people shouldn't be allowed on Facebook Marketplace.
It's an '87. Well, I had an '88, so I have a place in my heart for the S10s. But they want a small fortune for it. They want like $9,000 for it. It's red with a red and gray interior, I think. But it's the 2-door Blazer, square body, '87. So it should have the 4.3 because the 88 was the first year of the 4.3 TBI, so it probably has a 2.8 V6.
Oh. That's all right. That can come right out.
Yeah, that could just pull right out of there real quick.
All right. Well, you're going to wrap this video up right here, right now.
Okay.
So I can get this thing, I can get this up to you guys right now.
Well,
So-
there you go. There's your ending.
There you go. Thanks for being here, watching Rich work on this little S10. Like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of fun stuff. I got to get some editing done so you can watch this here this evening, because it's 5 o'clock, which is quitting time. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time.